If you're publishing low content books on Amazon KDP, then this video is for you. I'm gonna go over why you should probably stop publishing low content books and what you should do instead. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Sean and I've made well over 7 figures from my own Amazon KDP business. And I've helped over 1,300 members make money with Amazon KDP through my coaching program. So if you want no BS publishing advice from someone who is actually doing it, then make sure to subscribe. So in this video, I want to talk about why you should probably stop making low content books and what you should do instead. Low content books are essentially books with very low content, sometimes even no content inside the interior. That's why we call it low content books. But these are books that are super easy to make. So we're talking planners, journals, sketchbooks, notebooks, and other types of books that are, once again, very easy to make. One of the big reasons why low content books like journals and planners are getting very hard to make money with is because it is so easy to do that everyone else is doing it. You can create these books often within just a couple hours. And nowadays there are even tools out there where you can mass produce these books with just a couple clicks. And because of that, if I look up planners on Amazon, you can see that there are over 70,000 books that are ranking for this. So because it's so easy to create these books, it's amazing if you're just getting started with KDP and you just want to test out the process and get your feet wet. If you're not trying to make a ton of money, you just want to make a couple bucks from your books, you can definitely do that with these types of books. But if you're trying to make a lot of money, if you're trying to actually make this a full-time income, it becomes very hard because you just have a ton of competition. Another reason why low content books like journals and planners is a very tough market to compete in is because of the interior. As you can see, this is a typical journal interior. It's literally just a blank line journal, which most books are like this. The thing is, since if you do go and publish a blank line journal yourself, your interior is going to look exactly like this, which means that there's really no way for you to differentiate from your competition. So this makes it pretty tough, right? Like the only way for you to stand out is to invest more in a nice book cover, but that means you're investing more money into a book cover. But it's hard for you to price your book higher than $5.99, $6.99, which means you're making like $1, less than $1 royalties. So like, how are you even gonna recoup your money? These are some examples of journals that are selling on Amazon, but you can see all of these are literally less than $5.99. But you can see that a lot of these books are now lower than $5.99. Like this is $3.95, $3.95, $4.99. Like they're not making any money by selling at this price. So because of these challenges, publishing these generic low content books is not the best long-term strategy. There's actually more negative reasons why low content books is tough to go and build an actual business is because, it's first hard to build a brand. Like it's hard to build a brand of generic low content journals and planners. Like having a brand is essentially having a reason for customers to come back and buy from you. If you just offer a generic blank line journal, there's literally no reason for the customer to come back and buy from you ever again. So it's impossible to build a brand. It is once again very hard to stand out, and you have low repeat purchase potential, which kind of ties back into not having a good brand or not having a brand at all. Like having a brand, the whole point of having a brand is so that the customer recognize your brand and comes back and buy more books from you, which means you make more money from the same customer. But if you just publish journals like these, there's really no reason for the customer to come back and buy. Another reason is because people don't really buy a ton of journals. Like those are just one-time purchases for a long time, right? Until they finish, filling up the journals, and then they will come back. But it's not really a frequent repeat purchase kind of thing. So you don't make a ton of money there as well. So with that being said, this is what you should do instead. And that is to focus on more medium or high content books where there are more content inside the book. So it's not just blank pages. There are more text, more designs inside the book, which makes it easier to build a brand because now there are more elements that you can brand. Your book cover can look similar. Your book cover can be attractive, which is one way of building a brand, but also in the interior, you can start having your own characters in every single one. Just like how Disney has Mickey Mouse, people can start recognizing your character and they can come back and purchase more of your books because they like your characters. This is just one example of how you can brand because now you have custom interiors compared to just blank line journal or blank line pages. Now you can build a brand easier, okay? It is also easier to differentiate and be unique for that reason because there's more customizability. And you can build raving fans that wants to come back and purchase from you. There are so many different niches to go into as well. You also have higher profit margins because now you have a reason to price your book higher. Because you got custom illustrations, custom images inside or something unique about your book, now that's going to give you a reason to price your book higher, and that's going to give the customer a reason to buy your book. Like if it's just blank generic pages inside, no one's gonna pay you more than $5.99, right? But because you have something unique that's special about your book, people are willing to pay more. It is justifiable, okay? So that's why you will be able to sell it at a higher price, which means higher profit margins. If you want to make money long-term in this business, the best way to do so is figure out how you can sell your books at a higher price, because it's way easier to make big money by selling your books at a higher price instead of just pricing your books super cheap and trying to play the volume game. Now, another great thing about medium and high content books is that it requires more effort, which is actually a good thing. It's harder to make these books, and that's why there are lower competition, because not a lot of people are willing to put in the work, right? So they just stick to just spamming low content books. But if you're willing to do more work and, create these kind of books, that means you will have significantly less competition. So these are some medium content book examples. So we are talking about, puzzle books, activity books, like these Sudoku books. Although puzzle books nowadays, you can create it with, these softwares very quickly as well. But it still takes a little more time than a generic low content book. We got a bill payment checklist. This is a tracker. You will have to create these interiors. Once again, although there are templates out there, you still should be, customizing the template. It's a little better than just blank line journals, right? And then obviously we have coloring books, which you have to create these coloring book interiors. These are some high content book examples. So we have a book like this, which is kind of like, it looks like a fiction book, but it says it's based on a true story. So I'm not sure what the true genre is, but we also have these science fiction books. So if you're doing fiction, you can publish these kind of books. Or if you're doing nonfiction, like a how-to guide, we have something like a dog training book, which obviously, if you're doing fiction, you got to come up with a story. You got to come up with a good story. If you're doing nonfiction, you have to come up with the information, right? You have to research and compile that information into a book, which is a lot more work. But for that reason, you often can price your book way higher than $5.99. Like $5.99 is actually dirt cheap for a fiction or nonfiction book. You never price your book at $5.99 for high content books, which is a good thing because you make way more per sale. So why should you do medium or high content books? The higher barrier of entry means lower competition, less chance of duplicate content. This is another big one. If you're just doing generic low content books, there's a pretty high chance of your books having the same content as your competition, which means you have a higher chance of getting in trouble with the KDP review team, and they can shut down your account if they think that you're just plagiarizing. If you have unique content inside, you have less chances of duplicate content, which means you have those problems less, okay? And it's still very easy to produce if you know how to do this. I said medium content, high content books are harder, right? It is harder, but it's still easy if you know how. And as I discussed earlier, better pricing. So this sketchbook is selling at $3.79. You could literally have a super low BSR selling multiple copies a day, and you will make zero money because you have zero profit margin after printing cost. Compared to that, we got this book right here that is a funniest story book. At $21. It's selling at $21. Actually, it's $24 with a price strike. So it's getting the royalties of $24, doing $63 a day, $1,800 a month just from this one book. And once again, it is a lot easier for you to build a brand. This is a brand kind of like a medium content brand because it focuses on jokes for kids, also life skills and storybooks and those kind of things. But you can see that the cover has a style or a brand, but also the content style as well. And they're doing something smart is that they have a book for literally every single age. I'm pretty sure that the life skills for a 8-year-old does not really change as a 9-year-old. Like 1 year is not going to make that much difference, but it allows them to produce a whole new book. So every year these kids can come back, or these parents can come back and buy these books for the kids, right? And that is exactly why you want a brand, because people can recognize your books and come back and buy from you again. And this is how much they're making. So they're making over $43,000 per month just from paperback, not including the couple thousand from audiobooks and a couple $100 from the ebook side. They also have a branded style on their social media following. So this is what I mean by being able to find your unique style. And you're not going to be able to do this with a generic blank page, right? This is only possible because we can customize the interior of our books. So let me give you a little more examples of the type of books that you can create. We got storybooks. You can also do coloring books. You can do activity books like word search, Sudoku, crossword puzzles. So let's start with storybooks. Storybooks is cool because there's a lot of different stories that you can write about, and every single story is unique, right? Like you can have a book. So this one is a inspiring stories for brilliant boys. So this is a stories for boys, but you can have different stories. So just because your competition also has a story for boys book, you can have a stories for boys book yourself, and you can have a different set of stories, and someone can buy both because these are very consumable type of books, right? So I have this tool called Bookbeam that tells me how much the book is making in royalties, and this book alone is doing 130, so on average like $150 a day. So that means it's doing $4,500 in a month. This is another example, inspirational sports stories for kids. Now, you don't have to write stories for kids. It could be for adults, it could be for men, women, many different audience. There are storybooks out there. Okay, you could also do different genres. Once again, sports stories, stories for boys, could be soccer stories. You can niche down even more, like just basketball, just baseball. There are ballerina stories out there, right? That's making money. So this one is doing $74 to $90 every single day. In terms of how you make these books, I do have a step-by-step tutorial on another YouTube video that I filmed, so I'll leave a link to this video in the description below. Next, let's look at some coloring books. I'm sure most of you guys watching this will know that coloring books are extremely profitable. There are so many different niches, and the crazy thing is nowadays, the simple coloring books are selling better than the complex coloring books, which means making it is a lot easier than before. Before, it used to cost so much money to hire someone, to create these coloring books that was super complex, right? Now it's like super easy to create these books because of the bold and easy, style is trending now. So this one book is making $674 to $1,200 a day. So this book is making like $30K a month. Obviously, not all coloring books will do well. They're spending money on advertising, whatnot. I get it, but still it's doing extremely well. And you cannot argue that coloring books are very profitable. This is another example. Doing a little less, $39 to $47, so that's like $1,000 a month. Very simple coloring book for toddlers, and these are literally like Canva images. I think these are Canva images that they just created, right? Or maybe it's just custom images. But if I would hire someone to make these pages, it's super cheap. Let me show you some examples here. This is actually a Fiverr gig that I found that can create these bold and easy style images. Exactly like the ones that we just saw, right? Actually way more in-depth than the ones. You don't have to get something as complex. You can get something super simple like this, right? It's up to you. But you can get these pages for $5 a page, just $5. And usually a coloring page is about 40 pages. So it's just around $200, which is actually a really good price if you understand this business model. But if you don't want to pay money to create these books, obviously you can draw it yourself or use AI. But if you want to try out this gig, I'll leave a link in the description. So in terms of getting started with coloring books, I do have a step-by-step tutorial on using AI to get started with coloring books. I'll leave a link below, but a disclaimer is that AI is not perfect, right? So, it's a good way to get started, but eventually you want to reinvest your profits into hiring actual illustrators to create good hand-drawn images, because AI images aren't the best. So if you're going to use AI to generate the image, make sure you use Photoshop or something else to, make the images good, fix up the errors before you upload it. Next is activity books. So activity books is kind of an umbrella term. There are a lot of different books that you can create. We have this one, a big book of large print word search puzzles, 5,000 words. And also you can stand out from the competition by, changing the year. So basically this is 2025, so they got a head start. It's not making much because it's selling at $4.99. You could actually sell your word search for up to $9.99, if not more, if you have a good one. So I guess this is a bad example. You can make more money from word searches. You can also produce Sudoku books. Once again, Sudoku 2025, making $10 a day. Still pretty good considering how quickly you can create these books. Making $300 a month is really solid. Now, this is a perfect example of how even a activity book can be priced at a premium price, $14.90. That is because the interior is very customized. It's premium, actual good interiors. Even though the review is not the best, still, it's selling well because of the book cover being really good. A lot of reviews, everything is executed well, except for, I guess, the reviews, a little bad here. But essentially, it's doing $100 a day, $3,000 a month. And that's what's possible because it's a medium content book. You can price it higher, right? If this was $5.99, you're not going to be making any money. And lastly, you can create something like dot markers activity books as well. So there's so many different niches because there are so many different book types that you can create. And on top of that, within the one book type, you can niche down to like animals or spring or, ocean themed activity books, right? So many ways to go about it. As always, I do have a step-by-step tutorial on how you can start on this. Believe it or not, there is a software that can create these books relatively quickly. But as I said earlier, just because it's easy to create, you don't want to just spam it. You can generate these puzzles with a software called BookBolt, and then from there you want to customize it so it's actually high quality. So you got to learn design skills a little bit, but it's a great way to get started with this business. So those are some medium content books examples. Obviously you can do high content books as well. That's what I mainly do. But in terms of how much you can actually make from these, let me show you some examples here. So this is one of my students, Josiah. So Josiah made $25,000 profit in a single month, and he publishes mainly medium content books. Laz over here is doing over $2,000 every single day in consistent royalties, right? And we have a lot of other students doing well, like Nicola over here, $58,000 in a single month. Steve doing $1,000. So this is actually from my Amazon KDP course page. If you guys want to check it out, the link is it's the first link in the description. But if you guys want to work with us to help you scale your business, then you can check out this page, see what's included. You can apply to talk to us. It's a free discovery call and see if it's a good fit for us. And then if you want to join, you can join. If not, you don't have to. But these are the student testimonials. And this is what's included in the program. It's literally a complete program showing you how to go from an absolute beginner to knowing exactly what to do to build a successful business, but not just that, but to sell it for a high price. Because I sold my first KDP account for $820,000 and I just came back and started building again. So you can definitely do that. We got a lot of students selling their account as well. And these are the bonuses you get: one-on-one coaching, community, this and that, right? So obviously I make these videos to help you start making money with KDP, and hopefully in the future, if you're ready to take it to the next level, you come back and work with us, because I do enjoy coaching. I do enjoy teaching people. If the other person is coachable and they work hard, that's the best combination. If you're not coachable, obviously it's not going to be pleasant. But if you guys want to check it out, the link is in the description. And with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.